what really sparked one of the deadliest conflicts in human history? The tapestry of World War I is woven with complex alliances, surging nationalism, and relentless militarism. At the heart of this intricate web was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in June 1914. This pivotal moment not only shattered the fragile peace, but also unleashed the pent-up imperial ambitions that various European powers had been nursing. The dominoes began to fall, aligning nations into two opposing forces ready for war. Thus, a single event set the stage for a global upheaval. Who are the titans clashing on this global stage? As tensions escalated in the early 20th century, two formidable alliances emerged. On one side stood the Allies, France, Britain, and Russia, a trio of venerable powers with extensive empires. Their ranks would later swell with the addition of the United States, bringing fresh energy and resources into the fray. Opposing them were the Central Powers, led by Germany, with Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire at its side. These nations, bound by treaties and mutual interests in territorial expansion, prepared for a conflict that they believed could redraw the map of Europe and beyond. As declarations of war echoed across continents, armies mobilized at an unprecedented scale. The war was no longer confined to the tangled alliances of Europe. It was a truly global conflict, spreading as far as Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. This rapid expansion transformed local disputes into a worldwide struggle for power and dominance. As countries chose sides, the world braced for unprecedented warfare. How did the war manifest in the trenches and beyond? The First World War, a colossal conflict that sprawled across continents, was epitomized by its brutal trench warfare. The Western Front, a ghastly network of trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland, became the grim stage for some of the most ferocious battles in human history. Among these, the Battle of the Somme and the Battle of Verdun stand out as particularly harrowing. The Battle of the Somme, initiated in July 1916, was marked by the British and French forces' attempt to break through German defenses. This battle is infamous not only for its scale but for the introduction of the tank on the battlefield. Despite the technological innovation, the battle resulted in one of the highest numbers of casualties in a single day, with over 57,000 British troops wounded or killed on the first day alone. Meanwhile, Verdun, often described as the meat grinder, was emblematic of the war's attrition warfare. Lasting almost the entire year of 1916, it consumed hundreds of thousands of lives, with both sides suffering heavy losses for minimal territorial gain. The war also saw the sinister debut of chemical weapons, with mustard gas and chlorine gas choking, blinding, or burning the soldiers unfortunate enough to encounter them. The skies, too, became arenas of death, with airplanes initially used for reconnaissance rapidly evolving into instruments of bombing and aerial combat. The war's brutality reshaped combat and left landscapes scarred and lives devastated. Who led and who suffered in this immense conflict? At the helm of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II's aggressive foreign policies were pivotal in the lead-up to the war. His ambitions stretched the tensions that snapped into the global conflict. Across the Eastern Front, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia found his nation embroiled in warfare, a situation that would eventually topple his reign and reshape Russian society forever. In the United States, President Woodrow Wilson initially kept the nation neutral, but later, driven by repeated provocations, he led America into the fray in 1917, hoping to make the world safe for democracy. On the ground, General John J. Pershing commanded the American Expeditionary Forces with a focus on rigorous training and comprehensive strategy. Meanwhile, millions of soldiers languished in trenches, facing the horrors of war daily. Civilians, too, were not spared, with entire towns near battlefields razed and economies disrupted. Women took unprecedented roles in factories and farms, sustaining national economies and marking a pivotal shift in gender roles. Leaders strategized as millions of ordinary people bore the war's heaviest burdens. Scene script. How did the guns finally fall silent? As the weary world trudged through 4 years of catastrophic conflict, the entry of the United States in 1917 marked a pivotal shift in the tide of World War I. Bringing fresh troops and significant resources, the U.S. involvement provided a much-needed boost to the beleaguered Allies. Meanwhile, the Eastern Front was unraveling in its own dramatic fashion. The Russian Revolution in 1917 led to the Bolsheviks seizing power. Their first order of business was withdrawing from the war, culminating in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918. This treaty saw Russia cede vast territories to the Central Powers, a desperate move to focus on internal strife. Back on the Western Front, the cumulative impact of new American forces, along with exhaustion and dwindling resources on the German side, led to the eventual German capitulation in November 1918. The armistice signed at Compiègne marked a cessation of hostilities, but it was the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 that truly shaped the post-war landscape. The Treaty of Versailles imposed severe penalties on Germany, including substantial territorial losses, massive reparations payments, and strict limitations on military capabilities. These terms not only humiliated Germany, but also sowed the seeds of discontent that would later germinate into another devastating conflict. The war ended, but its echoes were far from over. What were the lasting impacts of the Great War? The conclusion of World War I marked the dawn of a dramatically altered geopolitical landscape. The Treaty of Versailles, along with other peace agreements, redrew the world map. Empires crumbled, giving rise to new nations. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires dissolved, making way for countries like Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and modern-day Turkey. These changes, while intended to foster peace, often sowed seeds of further discord and nationalism. Beyond borders, the societal fabric of many nations underwent profound transformations. The war propelled women into the workforce in unprecedented numbers, as men fought on the front lines. When the war ended, the returning men found a changed societal role for women, who had proven their capability in various professional and industrial roles. This shift played a crucial part in the women's suffrage movements across the globe, leading to significant changes in gender roles and expectations. Technologically, the war accelerated advancements in medicine, aviation, and communications, setting a rapid pace for the 20th century. However, the psychological scars left by the war were profound, with countless returning soldiers suffering from what was then called shell shock, today known as PTSD. The most ominous outcome of World War I was perhaps setting the stage for World War II. The punitive measures and harsh economic reparations imposed on Germany created a fertile ground for resentment and radical ideologies, eventually leading to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. World War I not only redefined borders but also reshaped societies and ideologies worldwide.